It's been a while. I'm back. New setting, moved house. Now new background here with all my wrestling posters and stuff. Mostly got from Wrestle Crates. I'm using an empty Wrestle Crate box to prop my phone up here for this video. But last night, Impact Wrestling's big Slammiversary pay-per-view aired, and ever since Black Wednesday, which will now be 91 days ago, when WWE released, I think it was like 20 plus of their performers, Impact immediately started teasing, because 90 days after that horrible day, exactly 90 days after it was Slammiversary, and when everyone's no compete clause came up, they could work at Impact, or they could work wherever they want. They could wrestle again. Well, exception of Deonna Purrazzo, I think she was on a 1 month, a 30-day one, due to her being in NXT at the time of her release. So before the show, at 5 AM Scotland time, which is which would become then July 18th in America on the East Coast, they released a vignette of the Good Brothers. Anderson and Gallows stood in darkness, and they were saying, we're here in Impact, and the lights come up, they're in the ring, and they said they would be on Slammiversary in some capacity. So I went in, I'm very excited about that. So I'll just crack on with the show, go match by match, segment by segment, break it down, talk about what I liked, anything I didn't like, and then talk about everything going forward. Because I was very excited for this. When I was a kid, I was a big TNA fan. I still to this day love all the wrestlers that I discovered when I started watching TNA in 2009. I can tell you the first ever TNA show I watched was the episode of Impact before Destination X 2009, the go home for Destination X 2009. And for years, I would say for a good 7-8 years, I watched TNA Impact with, religiously for a very long time. Eventually not so much. I eventually stopped kind of caring. Around about the time I got back into WWE, because Impact was going through all its changes, and it's they're losing money. Are they even going to be able to keep the lights on? Is this show going to go ahead? Slammiversary a couple of years ago, if I remember correctly, very nearly didn't happen. But when I got into TNA, I was 8, like I said, 9 years old actually, and even at 9, when pro wrestling had all this magic still, and I believed wrestling is, was real, was like a genuine sport and competition. It was around the time WWE when Vladimir Kozlov was towards the top of the card. He was fighting the Undertaker and Triple H, and I hated it. Even at 9 years old, could tell that this was not the correct thing. This was not who should be in a position as prominent as that. So I kind of zoned out, and I didn't really pick back up until, religiously started watching WWE again until around about CM Punk's rise through the ranks. And then I moved to Ireland when I was 12. When we got Sky Games and Sky Sports, then I watched Impact, just exclusively TNA. And then eventually became Impact, with all the GFW stuff. But anyway, back then, TNA was the more exciting company for me. When you started hearing rumours that WWE was fake, there was a story that there was an episode of my podcast with my good friend Dylan, which never came out because of the world shutting down and me being unable to access the files for it. But we spoke about how at my primary school and his primary school, and almost everyone, it spread as far as Derry and places in Ireland that I've spoke to people about this. When we started to hear that wrestling was fake, it was the WWE was fake and TNA was real. TNA to me was always this exciting place where you had AJ Styles and Samoa Joe and Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, Kurt Angle, all these really cool guys. And going into this show, once again TNA feels like, or Impact now feels like such an important, exciting, relevant, punk rock place, I guess is the only way to describe it. So like I say, I'll just go through the show bit by bit after talking about my love of Impact and of TNA, and my sort of, just like I say, I was very, very excited to go into this show. So the night opened with a big surprise, a big return, which I missed as I was fighting with Fight TV to get it to work. I didn't get everything sorted until maybe like 2 minutes past 1 here. So the Rascals had issued an open challenge, which I missed. I did see people on Twitter saying, Gallows and Anderson are debuting now. So I was like, I really need to hurry up, because obviously Gallows and Anderson said they were going to be on the show. So the Rascals issued an open challenge, and it was answered by my favourite tag team of all time. A lot of people don't think of these guys, but for me, when I started watching TNA, I immediately fell in love with them, and specifically one guy. It was the Motorcycle Machine Guns who answered this challenge, and Alex Shelley was my guy, still is my guy, I think. Alex Shelley is my all-time favourite wrestler. I love him, I think he's great. And obviously Chris Sabin's fantastic too, and the Rascals in the form of Desmond Xavier and Zachary Wentz, they're great. So I missed the whole spoil of their return, but when fight came in and it started, they were just walking down the ramp with the Motorcycle Machine Guns, and I lost my mind. I started going crazy. So anyway, we had a very, very good match. The Motorcycle Machine Guns have not lost a step, despite the fact they're like, I'm guessing around 35-ish now. A lot of very, very great spots. The Rascals just continue to be one of the most innovative teams in wrestling. And the Motorcycle Machine Guns as well, they pretty much laid the blueprint for modern day tag team wrestling, I would say. I think they're maybe the most influential wrestlers of the past 10 to 15 years, because most of the people that came through and are coming through now grew up on like stuff like TNA and Ring of Honor, and watched a lot of Motorcycle Machine Guns. The Motorcycle Machine Guns were quite evidently, when you look at both their styles, very clearly a big influence on the likes of the Young Bucks, who are a massive influence on a lot of tag teams now. And they've not missed a step. They were fantastic. The Rascals were great. They played off each other very well. If you know me, you know I hate when people do stuff like Del Rio's real contrived stomp, where whoever kind of holds themselves up. There was a spot which I thought was beginning to look like that, and then they brought it back. So Dez catapults Alex Shelley into the corner and super kicks him, and then jumps up on the second rope. And instead of Shelley lying back across Dez's knees, he just kind of sits up and stares at him. And I was like, what's he doing? But then he just starts like shadow boxing like he's drunk, or he's been knocked loopy like MJF did when he took that Canadian Destroyer from DDP on Dynamite. What a weird fucking sentence that is. Anyway, he starts shadow boxing, which I thought was great. And then he gets like the Meteor and he goes back over his knees. It was very, very good, but worked at a very, very like blistering pace. And then when they slowed it down, it was just very. Oh, I could talk about the Motorcycle Machine Guns for days. It was incredible. The match ended when the Guns were able to take control and hit a move I know as the Fidget Spinner from Aussie Open, my other favourite tag team in the world. I believe they call it the Dirty Bomb, which they kind of both grab them up like on their shoulders and grab their head and flip them round. And then they got the win. So it looks like the Motorcycle Machine Guns are here to stay, is what I was thinking. Because I remember Shelley tweeted that he's excited for Ring of Honor to start running shows to the Pure tournament, and Sabin's return to TNA or to Impact, and because he was booked for the No Place Like Home TNA show over Mania weekend, which was obviously cancelled. So I thought the Rascals were just going to get the win, and Motorcycle Machine Guns won, which I started getting my hopes up. Hopefully they're back, but we'll get to that later on. After that, we had a match for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship between Tommy Dreamer and Moose, which in an old school rules, I should say, old school rules match. It was good, it was fun. Moose looks like an absolute fucking star. Mr. TNA, Mr. Impact Wrestling. He's put the old TNA World title on a white leather strap now, and I think it looks good. I don't think it looks as good as the original title, but it looks good, and he looks great with it. Dreamer was out there wearing a shirt that says Moose Sucks Eggs, as a reference to that Terry Funk Dusty Sucks Eggs t-shirt from one of his many fights with Dusty. I really liked this match. It was what it was. You were never going to get a 20-25 minute work rate classic out of Tommy Dreamer. No disrespect, Tommy Dreamer is one of the best of all time, but he said on a podcast, I think it was Edge and Christian, that he wears a back brace at all times. The only time he doesn't have a back brace on is when he's wrestling. So Tommy doesn't move this move. This Moose obviously is great, but it was just a fight. It was just an old school ECW fight. There was chairs and trash cans and bin lids and thumbtacks. Oh, I love thumbtacks. There was a rock bottom from Moose to Tommy Dreamer on a pile of chairs. And Dreamer brought thumbtacks out, and then Moose started whooping on him, and he was going to push his face into the thumbtacks, and then Tommy hulked up only to be like DDT'd onto the thumbtacks or something. I can't remember if it was a DDT. And then Moose won with the lights out, the spear where he flips through for the pin. It was good. I liked it. It didn't go that long, but you weren't going to get that much out of it. It was everything that match could have been. I thought it was fun. I've seen a few people on Twitter are not so fond of it. I liked it, like I said. But obviously not the world title match that everyone's been talking about since. After that, then we had a TNA's backstage interviewer whose name I do not know. And I have, is it Gia something? I probably should have looked this up, but we're here now, and we're going, and we're rolling, and we're just, who cares? I don't mean who cares, but I'll work it out. A Jaguar pulls up, I think she said it was a Jaguar, car pulls up, and she is like, oh, is this the Good Brothers? Is the Good Brothers here? Can I get an interview with them? And then out steps Johnny Swinger, Chris Bay's manager and associate, and she was like, I thought this was going to be, you know, someone more exciting, potentially a debut. And he was like, I was at the car rental place, and stole this car. It was for someone called Anderson, but I didn't see Ole, and then I stole the car. So just admitted to stealing a car from a car rental agency on pay-per-view, which, you know, fair play to him. And her search for the Good Brothers was not over, and we'll get to that later. That was a little fun kind of sketch, just good to sort of bridge. And then we got I bridged on to what I think, as everyone could tell, was the low point of the night. That was I thought I heard Josh Matthews say 11 knockout gauntlet match, but it was 12, but also there were 14 people who came out, I believe, if counting correctly. I had 11 knockout gauntlet match, but I counted and I think it was like 12, and also something I'll get to. So I'll just call it the big old #1 contender gauntlet match. The rules were kind of like a Royal Rumble, so it starts with 2 people, and they wrestle for 2 minutes, and then every minute after that, another knockout will enter. And once everyone but the final 2 have been thrown over the top rope and out, it just becomes a normal one-on-one singles match. The first 2 who came out were Tasha Steelz, who I will admit I don't know much about, but she looked good. I quite liked watching her last night. She impressed me quite a bit. And Kylie Rae, who is one of my favourite wrestlers in the world. And I'm so glad to see Kylie Rae again back on my screens. I've kept meaning to get an Impact for a very long time, especially when she signed. I wanted to watch it more, but I just never found myself making the time for it. And I kind of hate that that's happened, because a lot of my favourite wrestlers in the world are there, including Kylie Rae. Like I say, it was very, very good to see her back. So her and Tasha Steelz wrestled for 2 minutes, and then Taya Valkyrie's music hit. So I got quite excited because Taya Valkyrie is great. But Johnny Bravo came out, her manager, who also is Rosemary's manager. I think Taya and Rosemary are friendly, I guess. It's a weird combination, but okay. And Johnny Bravo came out dressed as Taya Valkyrie, and he was immediately flung over the top rope. And then Kylie was like, hey Tasha, look, we're friends, and then they kind of threw some hands. Then Kimberly came in at 4, kind of cleaned house, looked good and strong. I really like Kimberly, she looked very good. And then Kiera Hogan in at 5. Some more, no eliminations just yet. I kind of wrote a little play-by-play for this specifically last night, so I wouldn't miss anything. Then a Susie in at 6, who is a Sue Young, who's no longer an undead demon lady, but she dresses like an e-girl. She dresses like your weird mate's favourite Twitch streamer, I guess. She looked okay. I like Sue Young. I've seen a lot of very good matches, but last night she just wasn't, I don't know, not a lot clicked in this match for me. I will say one thing, it was reminiscent of old TNA main events. Just a big overbooked fucking mess, I guess. But whatever. Then before number 7 came in, Tasha was eliminated by a super kick from Kylie Rae. When what happened? Yeah, so Tasha Steelz was up on the top rope, and Su Yung, or Susie, was doing her like sort of Rana spot that she does, but then she got thrown off, and when Tasha was sat on the top rope, Kaylee Ray super kicked her, and she went to the outside. So yeah, after Tasha Steelz was eliminated, out came Katie Forbes, who I'm not entirely familiar with. I know that she's Rob Van Dam's wife, or girlfriend, I believe wife. I know she's a big ol' arse, because she twerks a lot, and she was announced as being from Twerk City, and she twerked a lot in that match. And I know that her and RVD having like a sex celebration-y thing got them taken off Twitch when RVD was in bed with his wife and his wife's girlfriend, who was, I think I read somewhere, was just a porn star, but I'm not sure. Yeah. This was my first experience with Katie Forbes in a wrestling capacity. I don't like her. I don't get it. I don't know. Maybe it's because I've not watched Impact that I don't get it just yet. I don't know. Don't know about her. There was a spot where she kind of came in and was cleaning house and being big and strong, and then her and Kiera Hogan twerked together, and you know, that was a thing. I guess a comedy spot, maybe. I don't know. But then Madison Rayne came in at number 8, and I love Madison Rayne. Madison Rayne is one of my favourite knockouts of all time. She's part of the beautiful people who is in-ring wrestlers. You know, they're not great. Except for Madison Rayne. Madison Rayne is fantastic. And I absolutely love her. I believe a 5-time Knockouts champion. So it was good seeing her in the ring. I've not seen her wrestle for a wee while. She still looked great. Then, Havoc came in at number 9, being big and strong and bigger than everyone, and she threw some kicks and just some body slams. And yeah, that was kind of cool. And then after her, Taya Valkyrie shows up for real, dressed like Captain Hook. I am aware I'm not talking about a lot of stuff that happened in between the competitors coming out, but a minute's not enough time for everyone to get their shine. Unless you come in with an absolute flurry of offense, if you come in and you're quick down that ramp, the minute's not a lot, because you know, maybe 15 to 20 seconds is taken up by your entrance. You get your pose on the ramp and you walk or run to the ring, and then, you know, if say 20 seconds before you hit the ring, you only have 30 seconds before the screen starts showing 10. So especially with hard cam facing down the ramp like No Mercy style, you know, you could see everyone. No one was getting enough time except for Tasha and Kaylee at the very beginning. But then Havoc came in, and Havoc looked great. She's, you know, a lot bigger than everyone else in the ring. There was a great spot with Havoc, but that didn't happen just yet, according to my notes. In came Alicia Edwards, Eddie Edwards' wife. She's not good. She came in, hit some like fast some clotheslines and some like tilt-a-whirls, and then as soon as she slowed down, just very clunky, and I didn't. Maybe she's good, maybe she's a good wrestler, maybe she's working hard. I just didn't. She slowed it down for me, kind of took me out of how invested I was in it. There was a good spot that I have here. I've written this in just before the next entrant came out. So Kylie Ray picked up, I think, Kiera Hogan, but I'm not sure, on her shoulders, and she was looking down the hard cam. She was like, "I'm going to do it. I'm going to military press her." She was trying to get her up, and then she was like, "Nope, no, wait, one more time, one more go." She tried again, and she was like, "Nope, this time, third time's the charm." And Havoc walked up behind her, and Havoc was fucking huge. She got her up. Havoc like picked Kiera Hogan up, and then Kylie Ray is like, she's going, "Yes, I got her," and then she feels like Kiera Hogan get picked off her, and she was, "Wait, what's happened?" Turns around, and Havoc just fucking body presses her into Kylie Ray, and it was great. And then it came Nevaeh, who is Havoc's tag team partner, I guess. Josh Matthews mentioned the Knockouts tag titles as she was on her way to the ring, which which I would like to see make a return. I thought they were, when I was growing up, the Knockouts division was always treated so much better than the Divas division in WWE. But the Knockouts tag titles never clicked, and I think one of the last champions was Eric Young. He's not a woman, is he? So yeah, I'd like to see the Knockouts tag titles come back. I would enjoy that. So yeah, Nevaeh got her stuff in, and then Rosemary came in at number 13, and Rosemary's great. I like her. Then Susie was eliminated by Rosemary and Taya, and then Rosemary's music hits again at the end of the countdown, and in comes Johnny Bravo, dressed as Rosemary this time. But he looked like the stupid Deaths guy from Horrible Histories. If you don't know who or what the stupid Death guy is from Horrible Histories, just Google it and then see if you can find the photo of Johnny Bravo last night, dressed as Rosemary. Yeah, so he came in and did some silly bollocks, and then he threw Havoc up and over, and then Kylie Rae eliminated him. So that was good fun. So I really like Kylie Rae. And Kylie eliminated Madison Rayne. Then Kimberly and Nevaeh went up over the top rope. They were fighting on by the corner, and then Alicia Edwards was put up and over, and Kimberly threw Nevaeh into Alicia Edwards, and a pair of them tumbled to the outside. Then Rosemary eliminated Kiera Hogan. So the final four was Taya, Rosemary, Kimberly, and Kylie Rae. And then they had a sort of, the battle lines were drawn as Taya and Rosemary squared off against Kimberly and Kylie Rae. Lee and Kylie Rae fought them off, and then she went to shake her hand, and Kimberly started fighting her. But then, yeah, Kylie then gets the elimination on Kimberly and looks over to see that she's in there with Taya and Rosemary, who are friends, I guess, partners, whatever. So they team up on Kylie, and Rosemary's doing the hanging tarantula kind of spot, like the Tajiri spot when she's over the ropes on the outside. And then Taya tips Kylie back up, and Rosemary falls to the ground. So then the ref rolls in, it becomes a one-on-one match between Taya and Kylie Rae, and I was very excited because I thought, this, get another 3-4 minutes out of this. We got about a minute. Taya went for some move off her shoulders, which Kylie countered onto into a powerbomb position, hit a Canadian, which looked a bit weird. I think the timing was off on it. She didn't jump back at the right time, or she didn't go over at the right time, whatever. It looked a bit weird. And then she super kicked her when she got up, and she won. So yeah, it was weird. It wasn't a great match. I think a lot of people individually looked quite good. But as a whole thing, it wasn't great. The time between entrances were too short. The last portion of it, when it became a one-on-one with a ref, was also way too short. But Kylie Rae won. I really like Kylie Rae. She's one of my favourites. And I was thinking, then I started thinking, we got Kylie Rae and Jordynne Grace, our Knockouts champion, or Deonna Purrazzo. But I was quite excited for Kylie Rae and Jordynne Grace, provided that Jordynne Grace leaves Slammiversary with the title. But either way, Kylie Rae is now the #1 contender for the Knockouts Championship, so we'll see her in a title match very soon. Then, one of my favourite segments of the night, Josh and Don Callis were doing the Monday Night Raw kind of spot where there's a camera behind commentary and they turn away from the desk and you can see the ring over their shoulder. And as they were talking about the gauntlet that had just happened, Heath, formerly Heath Slater, now just Heath, walked up behind them, grabbed the mic, jumped in the ring and started cutting a promo. Here is one of the most prominent example for me of the biggest downfall of Slammiversary, and it was the production. They were cutting to replays with the picture-in-picture, the replay, and the replay wasn't being muted, so Josh is going, now you can see, this is happening, someone's hitting like a super kick, and then you're hearing the super kick, and you're hearing everything happening in the ring before, but you're also hearing what's happening in the ring now, and Josh and Don are kind of having to shout over each other to be heard. Sometimes they were cutting to pre-tapes or vignettes, especially the stuff with the backstage interviewer, whose name I don't remember, and they were that would start playing without audio for maybe a few seconds, or the audio from the ring hadn't been cut, or they didn't mix it right. It was just a lot of weird sort of production slip-ups. And Heath's mic was on, but it wasn't really. And he cut a little promo anyway. But anyway, with production issues aside, Heath cut a promo about being, you know, one of the world's hottest free agents, and he's here to prove everyone wrong. And then out walks Rohit Raju, who I saw a few weeks ago was meant to be teaming with Rhino at Slammiversary. And Rhino said, "You're not my tag partner no more. I've got a tag partner," and he's got kids, and you know that's obviously Heath, because Heath and Rhino, former first ever SmackDown Tag Team Champions. So Rohit Raju came out, and as we saw on Raw, Heath is huge now. Heath has just bulked up an insane amount. But always in WWE, Heath was such a smaller guy. I don't know how tall he is. I don't know how tall Rohit Raju is. But I think it was Meng's mullet, or maybe Larry Atto tweeted that Rohit Raju makes Heath look like Godzilla. And he was fucking huge. He looked so big. They had a little back and forth. Raju went for him, and then he got whooped on by Heath. And then Heath walked backstage. I thought this was great. It's good to have a guy like Heath in your company. I think he's very underrated and underused for years and years and years. He's definitely one of my favourites. Has been for quite a while. So it's good that Heath is here. Yeah, I'm excited to see what he does in the company. I kind of thought he was going to have a match, but you know, it's good seeing that he definitely has a place, because he's one of those people that has a lot to offer. Maybe not as much as Drew had to offer when Drew went away to prove himself, but you never know. Maybe he does. Well, you know, only time will tell. But I liked him, and I really liked this segment. Then we had the X Division title match between Chris Bay and Willie Mack. Two wrestlers who I really, really like. Although, Chris Bay had the fucking stupid purple devil emoji on his gear. What a fucking dick. He's a heel, so it wound me up. Every time I saw it, I was just like, you just look stupid. Only folk that use that emoji are... Anyway, we'll move on from that, because I could talk for days about how much I hate that stupid fucking emoji. Anyway, Chris Bay versus Willie Mack. Willie Mack is a much bigger guy. When you think about the X Division, you tend to think about AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Amazing Red. But also you forget the Samoa Joe, Lashley, all these people have held this title. And they always talk about the X Division. It's not about weight limits, it's about no limits. But also Willie Mack, despite being built like a fucking train, can just hit standing moonsaults. Like it's nothing. So he came out then in some Razor Ramon inspired gear, but instead of razors on his gear, had chocolate bars, because his nickname is Chocolate Thunder, and he looked great. Chris Bay also, you know, looks like a fucking star, despite his obsession with that stupid emoji. They had a very, very good match, a very like typical X Division match, high flying, very, very quick. Willie Mack had a meteora from standing, and he's about 280 pounds. Don't like that. But they had a very good match, very good back and forth match. Just a lot of great stuff. Willie Mack always impresses me every time I watch him wrestle. Chris Bay, this is maybe the 5th or 6th time I've seen him wrestle, but he continues to improve week on week, or not week on week, but every time I've seen him, he's better, noticeably better than he was the last time I saw him. But I thought this match was great. Towards the end, Willie Mack went up top, and Chris Bay kind of pulled the ref down in front of him, so Willie Mack couldn't jump off the top rope and get him. Then the distraction caused, I think there was like a thumb to the eye, and he went up off the middle rope for like a crucifix, which was kind of botched a little bit, but it was cool, because then he went and hit an Oz cutter, or the Art of Finesse, I believe they called it. And Willie Mack just spiked himself right in his own fucking head, like it was nothing. And then that was the finish, and we have a new X Division champion in Chris Bay. Like I said, this match was fantastic. Just a lot happening. Just continued to go. You know, it moved at the pace that like triple threats or 4-ways tend to go, which I thought was really good. And yeah, After all the controversy around a lot of people talking about how AEW don't push their black stars, or how WWE has tended not to push their black stars in the past, having 2 black stars in this X Division match, which on any other show would be match of the night. Yeah, this was definitely a very good match that I would suggest you seek out. Then we went backstage, and Heath was walking through the backstage area, high-fiving some people and talking to people, and then he bumps into Rhino. We have the reunion that was teased a couple of weeks ago. And then up walks Scott D'Amore, who says, Heath, look at your shirt, free agent. He goes, yep. And he goes, well, you don't have a contract here. And he goes, nope. And he goes, well, you need to leave, because we're in the middle of a global pandemic, and this is a closed set, and you don't have a contract here, so we're not liable for anything that you do or that you bring in, so you gotta leave. We can't have you on the set. So then Rhino was like, don't worry, just come to the show on Tuesday, I'll sort this out. So then he's left. So we'll see him on Tuesday. Hopefully this means Rhino's got him a contract and that we can have a nice contract signing. But yeah, this was just I like it. It's one thing we don't see enough of in wrestling, is when people show up as like a free agent in WWE. They show up, they attack a contracted superstar, and then the next thing they're just on the show. Which I like. That's what I really did like about this, is this is kind of what would happen, I guess. It doesn't work there, so he gets kicked off by one of the people who runs the show, which I thought was a nice touch, had some realism to wrestling, which, if you're adding too much realism to wrestling, it sometimes ruins wrestling, but having stuff like this, I think, definitely works. So after that, we had the tag title match between the North and the world's most dangerous tag team, Sami Callihan and Ken Shamrock, and the North, of course, Ethan Page and Josh Alexander. I can never get into the North. Not because they're not good, they are fantastic. Ethan Page is brilliant. Also, in lockdown, Ethan Page looks like he's cut about 20-30 pounds or something, and he's leaned out and he's beefed up, and whoa, he looks great. He looks like an absolute fucking star. Anyway, my beef with the North is entirely to do with Josh Alexander. And it's not that he's not good, like I said, he's fantastic. But the first time I saw him wrestle was at a Progress show. And he was wrestling with the besties in the world, Fitch and Vega, against British Strong Style. Fitch at Vega and British Strong Style all love having the crack and messing about in matches. And maybe Josh does too, but in that match he played the role of super serious shooter wrestler. Like straight man. Whilst they were like fanning about and being dumb, then Josh Alexander would come in and throw some lariats and some suplexes and get the match back on track to being like a serious wrestling match. So the first time I saw him, he clashed with what the stuff I enjoyed the most about that match. He was clashing with it. And also the Progress Ultras started chanting he's got his mum's bra on his head, because he wears the amateur wrestling headgear. And ever since, when I see that in pro wrestling, I think about Michael Cole, and then obviously think about him with that specific chant. So every time I watch him, I go, this match is great, but every time he's not, I'm like, just take the headgear off, just wear the singlet. You don't need the headgear. Personally, that's just my opinion on it. I don't think it looks good, don't think it's a good look in pro wrestling, but this match was fantastic. It started with Alexander and Ken Shamrock kind of going to the ground and wrestling for a bit, and Ken Shamrock just being like your mad uncle is the only way I can describe his wrestling now, because he's now 56 and he still wrestles the same way he did in the 90s, but he's now like in his mid-50s, so he just looks like somebody's mad uncle or some guy at the pub who has had one too many and he's getting a wee bit too cheeky. That's the only way I can describe Ken Shamrock in 2020. But he looked great. Ken Shamrock still looks amazing. Sami Callihan obviously looked great. There was a bit where Ethan Page had a roundhouse kick on Ken Shamrock. Tense that looked down hard cam and screamed, "I'm the Karate Man," which I love Ethan Page. He's great. It was a great spot that I liked. It was the world's most dangerous tag team hits. I believe it was them. Callahan hit a GTS on Ethan Page, or I think it was Ethan Page, who falls back into a roundhouse kick to the back of his head, who then stumbles forward into a pile driver off of Callahan, which I thought was a really nice combo, and I thought that was going to be it. But they did kick out. I think it was Page. They already kicked out. It was broken up by Alexander. There was a bit with double ankle locks. Ken Shamrock and Ethan Page were the two legal men, and Shamrock put Ethan Page in one, and then Josh Alexander just put Sami Callihan in one, which I thought was weird because Sami Callihan can tap out all he wants, and those titles the match will continue. But if Ethan Page taps out, the match is over, and the North have lost their title. So I don't know what that was about, but it wasn't the finish, so I'm okay with it. Anyway, a little bit later on, Ken Shamrock went for a plancha to the outside, which I've seen him hit quite recently. I think it might have been at Hard to Kill in January when he fucking broke Sawyer Fulton's arm or leg. Anyway, he goes for his plancha, and Ken Shamrock is 56. It's more Oney Lorcan than it is Kenny Omega. That's all I'll say on the matter. And the North just moved out of the way, and he did his little Oney Lorcan up over the top to the floor on no one. And then the North rolled him back into the ring and hit their finisher for the win, and the North have retained the titles. And then after the match, grabbed the mic and cut a promo saying that because they're the longest reigning tag champs in Impact history, and they said, we are the best tag team to ever be here in Impact. We're the best ever. We are the benchmark of tag team wrestling within this company. And then the Motorcycle Machine Guns music hit, and out walked Shelley and Sabin. And on Tuesday, on Impact, we have a tag team title match between the Motorcycle Machine Guns and the North. And I'm very, very, very excited. After that match then, interviewer, whose name I don't remember, went backstage, and she was like, I found this locker room. It belongs to Good Brothers. So I've been told. So she chaps the door, and then out comes Rich Swann on his crutches. And she was like, oh, Rich, was, we're kind of looking. And he cut her off, and he started cutting a promo, and he was like, it's good to be back. I've been injured, not been here for a while, but I'm looking to the main event. I want to know who the mystery man is, and no matter who wins the title, Rich Swann is coming for that title. And then he kind of goes back into his locker room. And that was that. Then we got the Knockouts title match between Jordynne Grace, who is maybe my favourite wrestler right now. And she has been like that for quite a while. I love her. I think she's great. Irrespective of gender or company or anything, Jordynne Grace might be my favourite wrestler in the world right now. Like I say, Alex Shelley's my all-time favourite wrestler. But based on like what they're doing now and have been doing recently, Jordynne Grace is firmly, if not number one, top three, easily. Against Deonna Purrazzo, who I hadn't seen much of Purrazzo. I knew I liked her, didn't know that she's a bit of a submission specialist. But yeah, it was a gritty match. It started off, Purrazzo was running to the outside and running away from Grace, and she went for a suicide dive, took her out, brought her back in. And then it became a fight. It was very gritty. It was very like rough and kind of a bit like a Jon Moxley or Ishii match at some points, and then a bit like a Zack Sabre Jr. match at some points. Obviously, it wasn't as polished and refined as a Zack Sabre match, or it wasn't as as rough and as gritty as an Ishii or a Moxley match. But it kind of seesawed between the two of them. And it's a match I've not really seen Grace have. I've seen Grace have a lot of matches, but typically with Jordynne Grace, she's a very strong performer, and she does just a lot of strong as fuck, pretty much. And Purrazzo matched up really well. Purrazzo kept going after her arms to make sure that she couldn't, do all of her power moves. So then it kind of became just a gritty fight, and it was fantastic. I loved it. Eventually, Purrazzo grabbed like a weird Sabre Jr. Move, where she got both of Grace's arms behind her back and then just kind of clutched them together, and Jordynne Grace tapped, which I did not see coming. So now we're getting Kylie Rae versus Deonna Purrazzo. I was very excited for Kylie Rae and Jordynne Grace because they're two of my favourites in the world, but Deonna Purrazzo went from someone I knew I liked, to someone I now am very invested in. This is by far the best match I've ever seen her have, one of the best matches I've ever seen Jordynne Grace have, and I'm just very excited on Impact again, which is cool, because Impact's great. And then we get the main event, the world title match, the four-way between Eddie Edwards, Ace Austin, Trey Miguel, or just Trey, and the mystery opponent. So out came Ace Austin, and then Eddie Edwards, and then Trey Miguel, or then some in order of that. And then we were waiting on the Mystery Man. And Rich Swan's music hit. And I got real mad. I got real mad. I love Rich Swann. I think Rich Swann's great. But at the time, one, I didn't see him as a world title wrestler. I don't know. I know he's great, but he just, to me, wasn't as credible. Especially coming back off an injury that had kept him out for a very long time when he didn't leave at that level. To then immediately come back and be inserted onto that level. And I would feel that for anyone if Chris Bay went out injured, or if let me think, if Andrade or Chad Gable went out injured, and then they came back with no character changes, and were put in a world title match, I'd think it was weird and whatever. So he came out, and then before the bell rung, someone else's music hit, and I was very excited. And it was Eric Young. It was former world champion Eric Young, the world-class maniac, as he is calling himself now. And he looks like he shaved his eyebrows, which, fair play to him. He looked mental. He looked fucking insane. He had this big back tattoo now, which it's not great. Kind of looks like something you would get in GTA 5, but I'm not gonna say it to his face because he could murder me. So he came in and then said this was originally meant to be a 5-way before everything happened, and it is now once again a 5-way. Still elimination, and then the bell went, and it was great. It was amazing. It's very high paced at the start. There was a bit where Trey whipped Eddie Edwards off, who then spun him round. So Trey then hit the ropes, ducked a clothesline from Edwards, and did his knee slide. So he slides on his knees towards the ropes, and then he sprung off through the middle and bottom rope and hit Rich Swann with a Canadian Destroyer, all in one motion, and it was fantastic. The first elimination came when Eddie Edwards had a Tiger Driver on Ace Austin. As he was pinning him, Trey Miguel came off the top rope with a Meteora onto Eddie Edwards, rolled through and was picked up by Eric Young and hit with a pile driver immediately. And that was the first elimination. So Eric Young was back, got the first elimination, and that was Trey out of the match. Yeah, then, once again, back to the production issues. They showed a replay of this, but they didn't show the replay. They had the screen sort of wiping up to the top corner of the live feed, with a big screen in the middle of our screen with where the replay should be. But it was just a live feed from Hardcam, and up here had one of the cameramen on the side of the ring. And as Josh was like, "We'll get that replay for you soon," of how Trey got eliminated, and it just never came. And then they never happened and went back to the match, so that was weird. Then Eric nearly gets another elimination off of the wheelbarrow neckbreaker onto Rich Swann, but Swann kicks out. So then he crotches him on the top rope, goes up and sort of picks him up. He's going for it again off the top rope, but as he swings Swann up for the neckbreaker, he counters it with like the Rey Mysterio kind of bulldog, and yeah. So that was really good. That was for a near fall. There was a bit then, Eddie Edwards and Ace Austin were over the other corner of the ring fighting on the turnbuckle, but they climbed up from either apron onto like the sides of the turnbuckle. Eric Young rallied and picked up a Rich Swann in a powerbomb position, just ran at Edwards and Austin, who he hit, who then fell to the outside of the ring from like the middle rope on the side of the turnbuckle through the timekeeper's table, which was great. Soon enough then Rich Swann was able to roll up Eric Young and eliminate him, and then Eric Young just went mental and like just went after his recently injured, but I think they said he had 2 surgeries on his knee and he was out for like 8-9 months. Went after his leg with a chair and wrapped it up around the ropes and was stomping on it and hitting it with chairs, and it just looked mental. So anyway, eventually Eric Young left after just battering Rich Swann's knee, and Rich Swann was on the ground screaming, but he rallied to his feet, had a little bit of a flurry against Ace Austin, got a near fall, but was hit with a fold, and yeah, that sent him on his way. So then we're down to Ace Austin and Eddie Edwards as the final two, and they had a little mini match. There was a Boston knee party from Eddie Edwards for a near fall, and then fold for another near fall. They kind of came at each other, but again, Eddie Edwards had a second Boston knee party, and then the Die Hard Flosion for the win. And Eddie Edwards is the new Impact World Champion. 100% the right decision. If it wasn't going to be Eric Young or the Mystery Man, should have been Eddie Edwards, personally. Eddie Edwards is great, and I'm very happy that he is the champion. Oh, my phone just kind of died, so I had to charge it up, and we're back with another part of the video. Anyway, I believe when I finished up, I was talking about Eddie Edwards just having won the title. And like I said, that is the, it was the definite right call. But when the match was over, I still had some questions. We were showing the clip of a former world champion coming back, and he's bringing friends, and there was 3 whiskeys poured. So I didn't really know what was happening. Anyway, before I could really like dwell on my questions and try and conspiracy theory my whole self and work out what's happening, Madman Fulton came out from the back to help Ace Austin beat up Eddie Edwards. Forgot to mention, Madman Fulton had been sent to the back earlier, but then he came back out and he was just being big and scary. And then the Good Brothers music hit, and out walked Gallows and Anderson. And Josh Matthews called him Luke Gallows. It's stock WWE on Luke Gallows, unfortunately. But Gallows and Anderson, the Good Brothers, they came out finally. And it looked like they were going to align with Ace Austin and Madman Fulton, but then they battered them. Ace Austin got hit with a magic killer, and they celebrated with the new Impact World Champion, Eddie Edwards. And they got a few beer skis thrown in the ring. It was all good, and just before the end of the show, EC3's logo came up on screen. And we cut to a video of EC3 stood in front of his propaganda wall with his little 3 stripes showing. Like I said about the former world champion with the whiskey glasses, EC3 walked out holding a whiskey, and then he flung it at his propaganda wall, and then the show cut to black. And what a fucking fantastic end to that show. What a brilliant show. Anyway, like I mentioned a couple times already, for years I've been trying to get back into Impact because they have just silently become one of the best booked promotions in the world. From nearly closing their doors to being one of the most exciting and genuine wrestling promotions. One of the promotions that I am very, very excited for. Every time I hear something good about them, but I never find myself investing the time to get back into them, and I don't know why. I watch a pay-per-view, well that was good, and I don't watch it on Tuesday. And I watch the next pay-per-view, well that was fucking good, and then I just don't do it. But last night was fantastic. Last night was one of the best shows I've seen in a long time, and Impact finally feels exciting like it did all those years ago. Impact finally feels like the place where I can come and get my reprieve from WWE, and I know we had that, we do have that again with AEW. But all these big names are here now. We've got Gallows and Anderson, we've got EC3, we've got Eric Young's back, we've got Heath, we've got so much. And I don't think we're done. EC3's bringing his friends with his whiskey glasses. We've got 2 more people to arrive. At least. I don't know who that is. I'm not going to speculate on who that is. There's a lot of speculation that Aces and Eights, Aces and Eights were coming back. D'Lo Brown teased it a few weeks ago. We saw the jacket, I believe. Oh, there's a lot. There's a lot. It's great. Like I say, I'm finally excited about Impact again, and I'm very, very happy that I'm finally excited about Impact again. Impact, like I said, was a huge part of my childhood, and I'm very, very happy they made such a good show, such a statement of intent. The show had to be this good. With all of the teases that they had made, all of the things they'd said, and all the promises they'd made, for this show to be anything less than fantastic would have been a waste. With the good fortune of having July 18th be 90 days from Black Wednesday, everything just made sense on this show. We've got so many good wrestlers, we've got so many good matches and stories being put forward. I'm very excited to see where this goes. I am happy that Impact is back on track. It has been back on track for a while, but I'm happy that they finally have a very clear direction going forward. Because every time something good has happened to Impact, like Brian Cage wins the title, and he injured his back and spent most of his reign out. Tessa wins the title, and then gets stripped of it because she's a wee arrogant cow who won't go to the pay-per-view. She won't send the... I think she was like saying she was refusing to send back the world title. She wouldn't even send in promos to help to hype the pay-per-view that she is booked on to defend her fucking championship. Get over yourself. Every time something good happens to Impact, something bad happens to Impact. They were, when I stopped watching, it was before the GFW merger and all that crack. They were my favourite thing in wrestling at the time. And then, they went to... no one was watching, they were losing money, they were hemorrhaging funds. But now it looks like they're on track. A lot of buzz, a lot of big names, and a very... Even if the direction isn't clear to the fans, it's clear that they have a direction. It's clear that they know what they want to do. So, yeah, Slammiversary is a massive thumbs up. If you have a chance, seek it out, watch it. Everyone, except for a few of the people in the Knockouts Gauntlet match, and I guess Rohit Raju, everyone except for them left looking like a star. I am very excited for Tuesday. So like I say, good show, and I'm excited to see where this goes in the future. Now this is the end of the video. It's been very meandering. I've not really had a script, or I've just kind of... It's been waffle. It's been a lot of waffle, but it was a great show. I had a lot of fun. If you watched the show, let me know what you think in the comments. Do subscribe if you haven't. I'm going to get back into the swing of making more videos. They will hopefully be less meandering and full of waffle as time goes on. But anyway, thank you for watching if you have made it this far, and I'll see you next time.